Page 8, La Cucaracha. At the top of the page they talk about ledger line notes. Have you not had ledger line notes before? I can't remember squat. I don't know, maybe it's a review. A ledger line is that little bitty line that appears above or below a staff so you can have more notes. Because a staff is only 5 lines and 4 spaces, so it's only so many notes. Now we got a lot more notes than that, so we use ledger lines. We just pile them up above or below the staff so we can have more notes. That's all that's about. In my opinion, just an opinion, you need to memorize the notes up to 3 ledger lines above or below either staff, either clef. Treble clef or bass clef, either one. Just know them. They're quite common. And we'll go over them and over and over and over and over. For La Cucaracha, if you look at this, you'll notice that both stabs are treble clef. They can do that, you know, it's whatever. So the left hand has these ledger line notes. So I'll come back and talk about them when I cover the left hand. I want to talk about the right hand first. Now this piece is in 3/4 time. It's 2 sharps. We're in the key of D major. So now it's time to go do my scale video on D major. If you don't know it, do it 1 octave. If you do know the D major scale, and you really should by the time you get to this level, then go 2 octaves up and down. The D major and the B minor. It has 2 sharps also. Just do the key signature. So I explain it all in the videos. Go watch those here. So right hand first. And we have a 3/8 note pickup. That's 1.5 count pickup. So it's 1 and 2 and. We're coming in on the and of 2. And this is going to be fun. You're just going to love it. So at the beginning it's 1 and 2 and 3 and. And we're in this position basically. Now, this is a quick little piece. And I don't like using thumb like that. Ugh. So I'm going to recommend you to alternate 1, 2, 1 on this. It's a little awkward at first. You should do it in both hands. Any notes. You get it eventually. Go slow. Eventually you get to where you don't even have to look at the keyboard. You just do it. And that's what I'm recommending you do here. It says 1, 2, 1. On each of these, anytime you get these 3 notes together, these A's, doesn't even have to be an A, it could be anything. If 3 notes together, do a 1, 2, 1 pattern. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Remember the C sharps in the key signature? And 2. Rest, and during the rest you move up. Cross over here. Because I need 6 notes, I only got 5 fingers, so I got to cross over. Now, going on, the last measure of the second line, it's here. 4th finger, not 3rd, on the F sharp, 4th finger. There. You're in a chord here. It's an extended pattern chord, and that's the fingering we'd use for it. 4th finger on the F sharp. Now, I recommend for the 3rd line down, 1st measure, 3rd finger. This makes it easier to reach 4th finger going on. Of course, you have a rest, you can move up. But I like to feel my way around the keyboard, and so I try and find a fingering that lets me do that. And that does that. So in that 3rd line, it's here, here, and now 4th finger. And for the 3rd measure, again, I recommend 2nd finger, bring 2nd finger down. You can use thumb, you have a rest to move down. It's just like I'm closer to it. I can actually reach it. You know, I don't have to move down. It's just I find it more secure fingering this way. So in the 3rd line down, 3rd measure, I'm recommending a 2nd finger on the E. So it's here and then going on. And again, it's the 4th finger on the E. This is the 3rd line down, the last 2 measures. The chord is this. It's a 7th chord, an A7, but the finger, it's a 4th finger for the chord, so use 4th finger on that. However, for the next one, use a thumb. We keep moving around. The reason is because then for the next line we've got to come up here, and if you use thumb, now you're ready. You can reach it. Of course, you do have a rest. You got time to move up, but as I said, I like to feel my way around the keyboard. So if I can find a fingering that lets me do that, I do it. And here, going back to the last two measures of the third line here, thumb here, rest. Now I'm in position already. And then we're back to what we were doing at the beginning. Left hand. Well, here's the ledger lines. At the beginning, you have a D and an F sharp, and you're going to use that. You can, if you want, if you got fat fingers and big hands, you can do that. Because that half note is 2 ledger lines below the treble clef. Well, 1 ledger line is middle C. You know that. It's been using it forever. It's middle C. And so 2 ledger lines, it would be an A. Because the lines are every other note. The spaces are every other notes, but they're the other notes. So it's an A. So it's here or here. And they're just A's. Memorize that note. You're going to need it. And then here. So work out these chords in the left hand. Go down to the 4th line. You're here. Now they give you a bass clef. Well, isn't this fun? Because they can change clefs at any time. They can do it in the middle of a measure. They can do it any time. But you're playing the same notes you've been playing, but now it's bass clef. So now it's a D. Now your ledger line's above the staff here. A D and an F sharp like you've been doing. But see, 1 ledger line above bass clef is middle C. You know that. 2 ledger lines would be an E. So you have the D is in between, and the F sharp is right above that second ledger line. Is here. Oh, it's an F. It's an F, but there's a sharp in the key signature. It's an F sharp. So it's here. That's what the notes you've been playing. The last line, that is a C sharp. It's in the key signature, and 3 ledger lines above it. Well, there's 1, 2, 3. It's a G. You've been playing this one too, but in treble. And then an E and a G. I'm sure they're just doing these clefs to give you some experience at reading these ledger lines. And that's really, otherwise there's no need to change the clef sign in the middle like that. Yeah. So that's fine, we can deal with it. Put the hands together, and again, don't worry about hesitating right now. We just want the hands to work together, because you can see how the notes between the stabs line up. That's what we're after. The whole thing out that way. It's fun. You don't have to go that fast. You go your speed. And once you have it, then go back over it enough to get rid of any hesitations. You can go slow. Just get rid of the hesitations. So the beat is steady. We want to hear that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, the beat all the way through. Then we can put in the articulation, which is the slurring. The lift up. Just lift up slightly. The left hand, they go. I suggest you just connect the left hand all the way through. Just connect it. It's the right hand. See, so you're lifting up on one hand but not the other, but that's good exercise. It's not that easy to do, and you need to work on that. So you add in the slurs like they've got them marked. Then we go back and we add the dynamics. And that's to the melody, which is the right hand. So it's a whatever you think loud is. Don't get too loud because it's a fast piece. We don't have time to get really loud. The left hand has to stay in the background. Now when you get to the end of the second line, you come down to moderately soft. This, by the way, at the third line, first note is a staccato. Yeah. So make sure you're doing these staccatos too. The left hand has to really be soft. And then you go back to loud there in the last two lines. So forth. That's basically the dynamics. But again, I encourage you to get to know the piece, get into the piece and feeling the piece, and then you let the dynamics happen. See, there's some contrast. We like contrast. We like things changing sometimes. I wish today's rock music could put a little contrast in their music. So here we're starting out loud. And then when you get to the end of the second line, you're coming down. It's contrast. And then we go back to the loud when you get. It's nice to have. Now, speed-wise, this is a fast piece, and it's like a march almost. It's a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. So. Something like that. Accuracy is more important, so don't go faster than what you can accurately play it. And then on top of that, they've added their own style of pedaling again. I hate their style of pedaling. I really disagree with it. They're connecting the measures together, and I don't understand that. If you're going to pedal this piece, pedal the first beat of the measure. Reinforce the natural accent. But in this piece, it needs to be a nice bouncy piece. So I don't recommend using pedal here at all. Just leave the pedal out. You don't need it, you forget it. I like to play it with you very, very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics. So I'll give us 1.5 counts. Ready and go, and then we go. So be ready to go. Now I put the metronome on 8th notes again, rather than quarter notes. So it's beating 1 and 2 and 8th notes. So don't get too confused on that. Ready and go, and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 2. 2, rest, 3 and